They can ski our mountain, but they can never take our snowboards!
All right, we're live.
Started riding Brighton, and the pack grew more and more, as the years went. And I always went to Brighton because I knew it from skiing, growing up skiing there.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Look at this. You don't get this anywhere else. It's like if people still wanted signatures, this is where you'd come to get them.
Brighton's the home resort, home turf. It's the vortex. What's happening here stays here. Best place on earth.
But it's the people and the mountain and the cliffs, the park, but mostly the people.
I love Brighton because, look at all the features, amazing snow, blue skies, and good people.
Just all the homies at Brighton. Just show up and everyone's here.
I love Brighton because there's features everywhere. On a power day, you can adventure around side country. It's epic.
Brighton is my favorite place to snowboard on planet Earth, pretty much. Never stops snowing, especially this year.
Get to ride with these guys every day.
What is it about Brighton that is so great? Just the people that come here mostly. That's what I would say.
I really enjoy Brighton because the community, the people, the mountains, snow. It's a good time.
Brighton's my favorite place on earth.
Yeah, the community at Brighton is pretty dope. Everyone from all over and just local scene, community, boarders all gathered and board here. A lot of history, a lot of cool spots.
All these people in this room right here, it's my home mountain. It's the best place on earth you could ever be.
Millicent, the terrain just is amazing, It's got so many little transitions everywhere. It's pretty neat. Like all that granite, craggy stuff, just once it gets covered in snow is so cool.
It was a breeding ground it was the evolution of where we are now.
We'll literally be riding POW for 3 or 4 days, like the same POW, because it would stay cold.
Brighton was like where everything kind of got real for us and became real consistent. That was like 89, 91, 89, 90, 91.
But then there was like this kind of more serious like filming crews, and I'm getting the calls like, okay, can we go over here? Like, we're gonna hike. And I was like, hike?
Like we were just head to toe, day glow, showing up on the Utah mountains when snowboarding was just kind of being accepted at resorts. So this is a time when if you saw a snowboarder, you were like, oh, whoa, there's a snowboarder. Like that's how it was. And we would go up to other snowboarders and meet them. And it was kind of a smaller community back then, and very special time.
Brighton was just a breeding ground for amazing snowboarders. And, and there's so many snowboarders from pros to people that just rode for the fun of it, that it was just a melting pot of beautiful people that was fun to be around.
Yeah, I grew up in Salt Lake City, riding Brighton as far back as I can remember, riding through my parents' legs. Or skiing through it as a young kid, so yeah. And have fond memories of coming up here, sloughing school and high school to go snowboarding and stuff.
I just loved the terrain at Brighton, and I love the fact that you could go out of bounds there and like develop your backcountry skills there. So I would like go to Brighton a lot. I just love the terrain. I like short runs. I like just like features, and they have just so many features there. So plus they have night riding at Brighton, which was super sick.
You would take a lift, and right off the lift, you could just get untracked pow runs and cliff drops and just have a ball. Pretty amazing.
And Brighton, just from the way of the geography, gets easily double the amount of snow Park West will ever get out of any storm. And it's not a huge elevation gain, probably minimal, but it's just the way that I think snow gets trapped up the Cottonwood Canyons. Brighton's in Big Cottonwood, and it kind of like focuses the storms a little more, kind of like holds them in and then produces more snow. So that was obviously another benefit too.
When I first started riding Brighton, it was just the mountain to go to. That's what I heard.
After I went snowboarding 2 times, I think, I went and bought a season's pass, because if you lived and you were a high school student or a student at all at that time, I think season's pass was like $125 or something, $150. It was crazy.
Basically, like Brighton Ski Resort was kind of, it was the mecca. It was everything for us at our age. The mountain was just not crowded at that point, and you could go up, you could ride days after a storm and still find POW lines out into the Mary Chutes 4 days after a storm. Really, it was just a lot of freedom. I mean, there were a lot of strays up there. We were just stray animals, really.
We weren't the pioneers, but we were early on. And I just have so many incredible memories of Utah and snowboarding in that time. You know, it was raw and it was debaucherous and it was out of control and it wasn't yet defined. It was wild, it was fun, it was exciting to be a kid in that era. But it was also like filled with, you know, love and mutual respect and kind of this admiration for one another, that we're all, you know, young people seeking this similar experience in the same place at the same time.
Brighton's so rad, I think, because it brings people together. The coolest people from all over the place here, riding cool stuff, I guess. You know, it's just about the people at the end of the day.
Brighton is home. Brighton is so filled in, the most I've ever seen. Had a pass since '92. It's incredible.
I don't know what he's talking about. You guys should stay home.
It's any advantage I could get. I love Brighton because it's quick, awesome POW laps. And, you know, a lot of resorts, you take a lift to a tram to another freaking shuttle to do, like, it takes an hour to do a run. You can do like 6 to 7 like sick powder runs, hitting awesome jumps and cliffs all the way down. And yeah, it just breeds good boarders, and it breeds fun. It's awesome.
Always powder. There was always places to build jumps, and it just had a huge draw for that. But then there was just, back then, that seems like where there were so many really good kids riding, and so it just kind of became this draw for that. There was a good scene, there was a good, always good people there. From my memory, what really pulled us there was all of that.
I think it was probably like early high school. Me and my crew, like Brandon Bybee, JP Walker, Jeremy Jones, Chris Hayes, Mark Bell, like all these guys, we started going up to Brighton. And then as soon as we started hitting Brighton up, like it was over. Like that place was just, had so much stuff, right?
You know, back then too, in the mid-early 90s, most of the filming was done on the mountain. You know, you didn't hike much. You know, you actually built kickers or just hit the natural terrain, and we were just constantly milking that place. It was just so productive.
I was scared to ride the chairlift. I don't know if you remember that old chairlift, the 2-seater. I would have my arm around the bar, you can guarantee it. I can remember my parents, we used to have we'd call collect, and they wouldn't accept, but that was a signal to come and pick me up, you know.
We ended up just going to Brighton all the time, and that, you know, it just kind of sucked us in, you know, we never left.
Growing up and seeing this place as a kid, it always made me want to come out here. And when I came out here, it is exactly what you see it is. So it's great.
But just in general, I would say you can get a taste of the whole thing here. What it's like to ride real terrain and just to be a snowboarder. You come and hang out here, you'll understand.
Like, they were stoked to have other people to go shred with.
Brighton to me was like, it was just a little more, just a different scene that just kind of resonated. It felt more like, you know, going street skating. It was a little skate park. It was a mini skate park, and it was just like everywhere you turned was a new curb, a new thing, a new whatever, you know, another transition. And it was just like, that's what was appealing.
You just know the best of the best is going to be there doing what they do on certain conditions. So you know where to be, when to be. Ultimately, you get to know it. And when you get to know it, then you realize it cracks open like an egg, and there's literally millions of places. As people have, I mean, they're still filming there. You know, there's still spots to be done and jumps to be hit, cliffs to be dropped. You know, it's infinite.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a POW day is what it is. Brighton is a POW day.